Well, hello, pardon me. That's me again. Today is the first day after the Turkey Day, after Thanksgiving, and this is the 29th of November, 2024. And I have some news to discuss with you guys because obviously life doesn't stay in the same place, and yeah, that it's American holiday, it's a wonderful holiday, and very heavy on your stomach, and generally on your levels of sugar and glucose in your in your blood. But other than that, we should start with what really matters. And I want to start with what one of the observers, opinion writers on RT wrote yesterday. Tariq Cyril Amar, a historian from Germany working at Koç University, Istanbul. And he writes yesterday that a position of strength for the West and Ukraine doesn't exist anymore. And he's absolutely correct. And this is in relation to Mr. Trump talking about that he can talk with a position of strength, peace through strength, which is, yeah, okay, yeah, I kind of get where he's coming from on this matter. But I want to say immediately, is because I subscribe completely to Tariq Cyril Amar, and I wrote about this actually 7 years ago. If you, well, actually it's before that, but it was 7 years ago when this book came out, and then of course this book came out in a year and a half later. And it described the fact that, well, the United States was losing not just arms race, it never was that great of a land power. I mean, the only thing they could really grab onto was this totally propagandized war in the Gulf, but that's about it. I mean, yeah, you look at this. I remember some clowns from American media writing about the operational capability, the operation planning, the operations which are executed. I mean, you cannot explain to them that, guys, this is different league when you really look into the military history of the last 100 years. So it's just like, yeah, forget about it. So, so now, if people think that Trump idea, or appointing this 80-year-old American general, an American general is not just some adjectives. American general is a euphemism. It's about for general officers who won't be able to run any kind of serious formation in real war. And Mr. Kellogg, he will never understand the nature of conflict because no American actually understands it. And I want to address immediately one thing, which some people just come in my discussion boards and begin to accuse me that, oh yeah, you don't understand. No, Americans did lose families, and it's like, because those people who went out to fight abroad and, they still believed in whatever they were doing. Hey, I never actually accuse them of not doing this. I even say that there are many courageous and some of them very crafty and very good professional people in U.S. Army, even throughout the basically atrocity which was committed for 10 years in Vietnam, not to speak about this pathetic performance in Afghanistan. This is not what is this all about. I constantly stress it. None of the American people or American servicemen ever fought in defense of their homeland. If somebody of those people who try to constantly accuse me that I don't understand that Americans did lose some people, yeah, they did. I mean, they did. The servicemen who were actually killed and wounded in the World War II, in Vietnam, in Afghanistan, and what have you. The problem is how many American families, women, children, their American properties have been destroyed by war. Zero. None. Well, no, I'm talking about that there was a family in Oregon in 1944 and 1945 which accidentally stepped onto something which was launched from Japan by the air balloon. There was an explosive. But if you take a look attentively at the American military history, show me anybody Show me panzer attacks on Chicago, heroic defense of Boston. Show me the concentration camps in the World War II or prior. Well, don't give me this concentration camp of American Civil War. But if you take a look at this history, where? Show me where American civilians have been killed, let alone killed in mass, let alone being, run into slavery into the other country. I don't know any of it. So when people don't hear what I'm saying, they constantly take them on their account, while in reality, I don't talk about American servicemen, some of them, as I already stated. You ask any of those, chauvinists and American patriots who Truman Kimbrough was. Do they know who the guy was? What he did during the Battle of the Bulge, that is the heroism of the highest order? Do they know what was the Samuel D. Roberts heroic ship, which was fought on the Battle of Samar? Most of them, they don't know. They know there's a bloviation and the Puffed Freedom claims, but other than that, they don't know anything about it. But these were American heroes. These were. But in reality, when anybody tells me that American civilian understands what war is, or that any Pentagon admiral or general understand what war is, oh, please spare me this grief, because none of them do. I know only one person who basically experienced the loss of his family. It's Andrew Basevich. Colonel Andrew Basevich, whose son died in this, basically again, atrocity against Iraq. Finding those non-existent weapons of mass destruction, and that's it. I understand, I can imagine the horror and agony of losing the son, but please don't give me this BS about that American soldiers know that, their families are dead. None of them knows that. They go fight, kill all those people in their remote locations, and they know they're gonna come back to wonderful things, to their families, if they, of course, their wives, their children, their parents, their houses will be intact, they will eat apple pie and turkey, and that will be fine. And then they will go back, and they will kill, and again kill those people who cannot shoot back. Well, now United States faced off with the country which has their military history which dwarfs anything United States ever experienced. And especially so in the civilian population, how the war is accepted culturally. And that is why when we talk about, there is not a single American serviceman who can stand against the moral resolution of Russian people, because America simply has zero experience of that. And don't give me this American Civil War thing, Look at the real 1812 war. Napoleonic invasion of Russia, and then see yourself what was happening. So, but hey, I'm just kind of deviating here, but I agree with this German of the Arab descent scholar that there is no position of strength. It hasn't been there for a long while. And so let's explain to you why I'm talking about this, that there is none. Let's go to take a look at, what Mr. Putin says. I deliberately take it from, his words. And for people who still, think about Oreshnik, what it is, they try to figure it out. I will explain to you how the basically incompetent nincompoops continue to comment on this, not having, including from professors from MIT who thinks that they know what real air and anti-missile defense is. It's really pathetic. But here it is. At the request of the meeting participants, Putin spoke about the features of the work of the Hazel, or Oreshnik. According to him, dozens of homing warheads attacked the target at the speed of Mach 10. I have actually doubts about it, because it's probably somewhat higher, as many people already, but, let's say Mach 10, which is about 3 kilometers per second. The temperature of the striking elements reaches 4,000 degrees. If my memory serves me correctly, the temperature on the surface of the sun is 6,000 degrees. Therefore, everything that is in the epicenter of the explosion is divided, or basically fractured, into fractions, into elementary particle, and turns into dust in fact. The missile hits even highly protected and deep depth objects. Putin stated. So, well, basically what you have, when you have this thing, which is 4,000 degrees on the terminal, prior to this, it flies with the temperatures of up to 3,000 degrees, as Mr. Kovalchuk and other people and Mr. Solomonov testify about it. So these are materials which, well, simply are beyond the reach of the combined West. And that is why, for example, it's not just Oreshnik. Many people still do not understand that Russia has their toolkit, essentially, which is so overwhelming that yeah, when I talk about it, that United States lost the arms race, it's literally lost the arms race in every single, basically, category, starting from the field weapons, such as the anti-tank guided missiles, let alone air defense. American air defense doesn't even register this seriously. To, of course, delivery systems. United States is not in the same league. And why this? Why does it happen all the time that they pretend, well, that they are so big and so important? No, they are not. And when I talk about NATO, that it really cannot fight its way out of the wet paper bag, that's exactly what it is. And that is why you can hear them hurting. You can hear these morons from the US corporate media bloviating about some kind of, they will make Russia to do this or that. But, well, let me show you something which really explains to you what is going on now in Russia's change of the modus operandi. This is a summary from November 2025 by Minister of Defense of Russian Federation. And as you can see yourself, Russians are just absolutely trashing all those ATACMS launchers and HIMARS launchers. Well, it's M270. And so look at this. So they keep in mind what is important here. That's what really important. They, for example, settlement of Tokhari just on the 25th, and you can see yourself what is happening in the video at the beginning of this, my basically video of that. You have also in the area of the settlement of Mali Bobruk, up to 30 specialists from the combat crews of these launchers. Well, guess who those specialists are? Then we have another on November 25 and 26, Grom, experimental ballistic missiles. That's the type of the assembly which was annihilated at Yuzhmash, and Neptune anti-ship missile complex were destroyed. In addition, strikes were carried out on deployment points of specialists, including foreign ones, who ensure their combat use and maintenance of Western long-range weapon system. Russia started hunting specifically NATO people, Americans, Germans, French, Polish. Here it is on November 25, as a result of missile strike on the headquarters of the main intelligence Directorate GUR Kraken unit in the city of Kharkov, up to 40 foreign specialists, mainly from the United States, were killed. So, and you'll talk about again Odessa, 72 personnel of combat crews controlling unmanned sea drones, including 9 French instructors and technicians, technical specialists, killed. And you will see yourself what is happening. It is now the hunt for all those NATO specialists, and Russia was sort of restrained before that. There will be no restrictions now. They will be killed, including their, you know what, if there any American general officer tries to actually pretend that he knows how to command major operations, well, they will be killed. And so that 2 days ago, it was in total 100 missiles of various types of basing and 466 geranium unmanned aerial vehicles have been used in recent days. And 190 missiles and 100 geraniums have been used in one night. So much so that actually ABC has to admit that Russia launches massive drone and missile energy blitz across Ukraine. So it was yesterday, and as you can see yourself, Russia latest long-range drone and missile barrage against the country's energy grid, with almost 1 million people reportedly left without power. Russians don't care about 1 million people. They care about basically stopping their electric current to any kind of the facility which is involved in any kind of manufacturing. And so there you go. And they say that each such attack proves that the air defense are needed now in Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky says. I have news for Mr. Zelensky, and I have news for those people who pass as the air defense specialists in the United States. There is nothing which United States can supply Ukraine which will not be killed, annihilated. So, and that is why I'm reading all those scientific papers, and most of them are garbage in. And when I say that actually Western militaries are incompetent, one of the fundamental signs of this, the traits, if you wish, the fact that they bought or basically swallowed hook, line, and sinker all this BS, this propaganda from Ukrainians about how they shoot down hundreds of Russian planes, kill millions of Russian servicemen, they shoot down every single, hypersonic weapon. That already tells you those people are incompetent, because no serious professional who knows how to develop information and who knows how to put it in the proper framework, especially tactical and technical tactical framework, they would immediately say that, oh, this is complete garbage. They are really pulling our fingers. No, these are the people like, again, as already stated, for example, Mr. Kellogg, yeah, all his, special forces general in Vietnam, not at that time, he was lieutenant and all that, so he was commanding something, nuclear bunker somewhere, after he receiving his lieutenant general rank. I don't think so. He has the capability to grasp actually what is going on. As I already stated, academically, Western media too, but Western militaries, they do not have the appropriate approach to it. They are not taught what they teach them. So if you take a look attentively, as I already many times pointed out, most of what comes through America's officer corps, these are ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Course. And if you go, and I stress it again, and that if you go at the ROTC courses, you will see yourself that, oh, well, yeah, ROTC wants engineers, but the most of the time they get actually, for some reason, political scientists and journalists. But look at this. Participants receive an education in topics such as leadership, military tactics, survival training, and more. In other words, they get their so-called education in ROTC, in military tactics, which is any kind of sergeant in any kind of serious army knows, survival training, and more, which is essentially amounts to the boot camp. And when you talk about what is the type of the training, and what they can give, for example, to those people who are being thrown together with their instructors into Kursk area to be annihilated, 36,000 killed, 223 tanks. Now Abrams and Challengers are coming in. Leopards. Soon you will see new photos of those destroyed tanks, and yet another thousands of those helpless people from the armed forces of Ukraine killed there. But if you take a look attentively at what they talk about, they love pathos. Okay, so here it is. This is what they called, as you can see yourself, it is 2 days ago, 3 days. The Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Anna of Kiev, trained by France. That's immediately a no. So, and went home. They went home, meaning in Ukraine, and fight Russians. French Defense Minister Le Cornu, 2.3 thousand soldiers of the Armed Forces of Ukraine went to Ukraine. Okay, the Ukrainian military of the armed formation Anna Kievska completed training at military base in France and went back to Ukraine. French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu said they were actually trained there for whole 3 months. Wow. So can you imagine French training something for 3 months, so-called brigade, which doesn't have proper actually set or the hardware. In other words, table of equipment, organization of equipment, and they think that in 3 months they can train their brigade. Seriously? So that means these people do not understand what they're dealing with. They actually have the 1 month training, which is less than a boot camp. For example, my Naval Academy, we ran it almost for 50 days. That was excruciating. But the point is, if they think that they can prepare even decent soldier in 1 month, no, you can't. Now they have 3 months for the most advanced training. If you think so that you can create the combat cohesion of the formation, I have new bridge to sell you. And let me tell you, combat cohesion is trained exhaustively for very many months, sometimes a year at least, for such formation as brigade to shape it, to shake it down into something which can not just maneuver, which can fight modern war. Obviously, considering the fact what kind of weapons NATO provides, which is primarily expensive junk to armed forces of Ukraine, it doesn't matter how you train it or what kind of combat cohesion they have, they all will be killed. And so in order to understand how they will be killed, we can go and take a look at the situation with the, well, how to put it politely, it is so it's really difficult even to explain how bad it is. We have this situation. Now, you see this? Ukraine was outraged by Biden's order to Zelensky. Biden ordered Zelensky to start to lower the conscription age from 25 to 18-year-old against the backdrop of shortage of military personnel of the armed forces of Ukraine. So, as direct order, Ukrainian journalist Diana Panchenko said on social network X. They want Biden. They want war. Biden orders Zelensky to lower the mobilization age in Ukraine. Obviously, Biden is well, he is a war criminal, basically, as all of his administration. So he doesn't care. I mean, if you will kill kids. So, and if that wasn't enough, we have that U.S. mobilization call makes no sense. Zelensky says Washington should instead focus on making sure the weapons it promised to Ukraine arrive on time. Dmitry Litvin said, an aide to Ukrainian leader. It does not make sense to see calls for Ukraine to lower the mobilization age, presumably in order to draft more people, when we can see that previously announced equipment is not arriving on time. Because of these delays, Ukraine lacks weapons to equip already mobilized soldiers. Well, it doesn't matter what kind of weapons, as already stated, United States sent them. Most of it is the expensive junk, not really suited for the modern warfare of scale. And yeah, so you have today, actually on the Fox, on CNN, one of the Republican senators, I believe she has the Ukrainian roots, I could be wrong, correct me, she actually offered to mobilize everybody. And she said, why young people should die for the freedom, yeah, sure, for freedom or liberty, yeah, liberty of others in Ukraine, then yeah, sure. Grandmas are really good. Ukrainian grandmothers with the jars of pickles, they are good at shooting down hypersonic weapons. Women, children, absolutely. Let's mobilize the whole damn Ukrainian nation and see what's gonna happen. So these are insane people, but if you think so that American military is much better, no, not by much. There is, as I already stated, there is a strata of the what is called senior middle level officers, which are, you know, colonels, you know, all those people who deal with the operational issues, and yeah, they should be now scratching their head. I heard the basically talk by H.R. McMaster. You know, the guy whose, you know, level of commanding was the regiment, and he went to become, you know, Tradok guy, and he became lieutenant general. He was first national security advisor to Trump in his first term. The guy doesn't understand what he's talking about. And yeah, you look attentively, very few people in U.S. military understand what is going on. And as I already stated many times, my latest book is about it, practically nobody in Intel, so-called Intel community in the United States and in U.S. military, let alone those pathetic clownish armies in Europe, they have the ability to grasp the nature of the conflict. They don't. The reason they don't, because they don't understand what is to be the situationally and tactically aware. They love those great, phrases. But when you look attentively at what kind of courses of on ROTC they go through, and when you look attentively at the catastrophic lowering of the academic standards on the service academies in the United States, you shouldn't be surprised. They now want to pretend that they have peacekeepers in the Western Ukraine. Well, guess what? They will be killed the same as Ukrainians. If they don't understand what Russia tells them, and evidently many don't have the toolkit. I don't know. We have a little, not only zombification, the imbecilization of the whole, actually, elite, scientific, military and things like that. And I'm not far off. And this is not a figure of speech. And as I already stated, General Kellogg and Trump think that the General Kellogg will come and will apply pressure. He's nobody. He's pipsqueak. The average brigade commander will laugh at his military record in Russian army. These people do not understand. They don't have position of strength. United States is bankrupt, and militarily the bluff has been called. It's a second-tier land power which is capable of fighting the third world, period. And so if they think that they have long-range fires, I have the news for them. And so when we have the intel community in the United States saying that this, like, some people in Russia for some reason reacted improperly. Actually, remarkably, tactically, technically, they are correct. Nuclear attack unlikely despite Putin's warning, US intelligence says. So US intelligence is the US lack of intelligence, and Mr. Putin already explained to them about nuclear attack when it's going to happen. But again, those people do not read. Forget about Reuters, bunch of the imbeciles they hire to work as their specialists, so to speak, and journalists. But actually, technically, they are correct. Russia doesn't need nuclear forces to wipe out actually all NATO force, which they want to collect, something like assemble, 100,000 people. Yeah, sure, this, hodgepodge, marijuana smoking, people who will be demoralized to enter, and then, see the Mr. Iskander and Mr. Kinjal arrive to greet them. I don't know. But yeah, Russia is not going to use nuclear, at least for now. How to use nuclear, Russian nuclear doctrine, new nuclear doctrine is very specific. So I suggest to all those people in Reuters and whatever the, Western mainstream media to read. And so let's take a look now. What do we have, where do we stand actually in terms of the tactical and operational matters here? And as you can see yourself, here's Kurakhova by our good friend Marat Khairulin. Russians are essentially, well, as you can see yourself, they move along the line, along the shores of the water reservoir there. And yeah, Russians are deep in Kurakhova, and as you can see yourself, it's pretty much going to be liberated very soon. And then we have the Velika Novoselovka, as you can see yourself. We have another wonderful pocket forming there. So, and, well, what can I say? The numbers do not lie, as I already stated. As you can see yourself, we are reaching really fast the psychological level of 1 million by, as already stated, which probably 1 million killed, and we have around million and a half of maimed in Ukraine. And yeah, as you can see yourself, 5 MLRS wiped out. There you go, together with those American, British, and French specialists. So, and this will continue. But whenever I say that those people are really do not even know what they're talking about. They, as I already stated, the state of the United States, let alone West, is really pathetic, really, right now, because people probably feel it. That is why Mr. Trump was elected. He was also elected on the peace agenda, so to speak. But again, Mr. Kellogg will lose, his ability to negotiate with anybody because he is not even on the same level of professionalism and experience. If he wants to talk to Russian military and especially Russian diplomacy, he will be laughed out of the auditorium where he will be holding meeting, and he will come back to Ukraine trying to do the same, legerdemain from the United States, which is to freeze the line. Then, as Russian foreign intelligence says, that this is a kindergarten level strategy, and I wrote on many occasions, US doesn't do strategy. They don't know what strategy is. They do their business plan, as my good friend Alexander Rogers says. But the point is that what are you going to do? To freeze the lines of, which of course is impossible. Mr. Kellogg will find it out very soon. But what? To prepare Ukraine for another, revanche? I begin to understand that what they teach in military higher educational facilities in the United States is probably rooted in the ideation of the United States as the great military power. It is, but it is not as the land great power since 1945. And even then, if not for the Red Army, which essentially killed most of the Wehrmacht, so what would have happened? And yeah, it's a naval power, and even that is being questioned now, or rather, it's not questioned anymore. It's not anymore, because the only thing the United States has left now is its nuclear-powered submarine component. Surface fleet of the United States is there. Essentially fat, prestigious targets, and they will be sunk, God forbid, if we go into the real war. And they will be sunk without even using nuclear weapons. That's what has to be understood by those MIT professors. No, I'm not talking about that Pastol. I'll talk about that Pastol next week and what he is doing, basically spreading the outright misinformation about the issues pertaining Russian military, of which he has no clue, and Russian military-industrial complex. But here we are today. And if you want to understand why United States is absolutely confused and in the state of the prostration, essentially, it's very simple. We have this lady. I wrote about her in my last book. She is the English teacher. She graduated Moscow Pedagogical Institute with the degree in English language. She evidently was, basically, she is BS spreader. She is utterly incompetent technologically. Here she tells the people from ABC or Sky News that actually Oreshnik is the intercontinental ballistic missiles. She doesn't understand a thing about really what are missile technologies. And well, I have specialty in this, and of course I studied for it, but she doesn't. But she tells you that she knows how Putin thinks, while in reality, of course, she never served a day in the Soviet or Russian armed forces. She never was a bearer of any clearance, let alone the clearance of the Form 1A, which I was a bearer, by the way. And yeah, she wrote this book about how she knows the Putin's mind, but she probably was hired in the Defense Intelligence Agency, probably as some kind of the interpreter. Yeah, but if you read her basically CV, it's so funny. She talked about how she was briefing people on something, I don't know, in English language. And again, knowing Russian language in and of itself means nothing, unless, of course, you understand what you're talking about. And that requires many years of the professional military and intelligence education. And the United States doesn't have it. And so when you look at those people, United States wanted to hear this, they wanted psychophons. That's the only thing they love, so that's, Congress loves it, Pentagon loves it. They love to, pretend that they really know what the real war is, So that is why they, you have the generals which are laughing stock, in any serious army. I'm not talking about European armies. They are not serious armies. They are Chihuahua military forces. So, and after looking at all that, okay, as Mr. Putin stated, Mr. Trump is not safe yet. Is Mr. Putin playing with the United States? My good friend Larry Johnson thinks so. It's good to be actually in the position when you can screw with somebody's mind. And what can I say? Russia will continue to screw with this because, read my lips, not that United States lost the arms race. As I already stated, I wrote about it for the first time in 2017 when it became, abundantly clear that it's over. No, I'm talking about the escalation dominance, which Russia can escalate to levels which United States simply cannot match. And being a loser, it will probably try to accelerate or escalate towards the nuclear threshold, because this is the only thing United States has left for now. In the future, in the 3-4 years, even that will not be the decisive deterrent. Why so? Well, that's a long story, but we'll talk about it. So this is everything I wanted to tell you today. Well, not everything, but at least what I was able to put into the 35 minutes. And as always, guys, I want you to have a wonderful weekend, which is coming. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on the Patreon or buy me a coffee too. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.